Hello and welcome, friends. Always a pleasure. Please allow me to welcome my wonderful guests, starting with.
He's going right for the crew!
Making my third and probably final appearance on Writer Showcase for a little while.
Alrighty. Well, that's okay. It's totally okay, buddy. We're just happy to have you. Let me bring in Carl Saylor.
Hey, folks.
Welcome. And also, Johan.
What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Hey.
Alrighty. So, Carl, you are up. Without further ado, you're up first.
All right. This is part 3 of the story that I've been reading for the past 2 writer showcases, continuing the story of Avi and the Magic Stone. So when we last met our characters, they were Avi and Kit had just gotten back to camp to find that there was a storyteller named Brannock who was come down to town, and he's going to be giving us a story. So here we go. Part 3, Magic by Firelight. The flames leaped high into the night sky as Brannock told his wonderful tales. He was even more amazing than Avi had dreamed. The fire seemed to dance with his words. If Avi looked close enough, she thought she could see images in the flames, shapes of heroes and heroines dancing through time and space as Brannock's voice shepherded them through their amazing adventures. The entire tribe had come out to hear Brannock's tales. Storytellers always drew everyone together. Nearly 100 people sat around the great fire circle at the center of camp, all watching and listening with attention undivided. Brannock seemed to hold everyone in a trance. Even the honored elders seemed just as eager to listen as the young children. Everyone stared at Brannock, hanging like loyal hounds on his every word. Brannock was like nobody Avi had ever seen before. His skin was lighter than anyone from the tribe, giving him an exotic allure. His voice wasn't yet deepened with years, yet it still managed to rumble like the inexorable turning of the ages. He danced wildly as he told his tales, mimicking the actions of the heroic adventurers of which he spoke. His greenish-brown cloak flew about as he danced through the story, coming perilously close to the leaping tongues of flame, but always just pulling away in time. Even the wound on Brannock's arm, covered with a freshly blood-soaked bandage, couldn't hinder him. It was magic. There was simply no other way to describe it. Magic. Like the stone. Avi's thoughts drifted to the stone hidden in her skirt pouch. Warily she fished a hand into her pouch and brushed her fingertips atop its impossibly smooth surface. The feel of the stone sent shivers down her spine. No doubt the stone was also magic, but it was magic of a different sort. The dangerous sort. The powerful sort. Slowly, Avi slouched a little lower and lifted the mouth of her skirt pouch to peer inside at the stone. Its pale blue glow filled the inside of the pouch, and the depths of it still flickered just at the edge of sight. Avi had no idea how long the stone had lain hidden in the ground, but somehow there wasn't a speck of dirt still clinging to its surface, as though nature itself couldn't bear to mar such intoxicating beauty. Someone bumped into Avi's shoulder and she jumped. She pulled her hands away from the pouch, letting the stone drop back down into its hidden depths. Avi looked over at who had bumped her. The young woman sitting next to her was still watching Brannock. She hadn't seen anything. Avi let out a relieved sigh. Her magical gift being exposed at all would be bad enough, but at a gathering of the whole tribe, that would be the absolute worst possible place for it. They'd killed a girl who had once had the gift of magic. Avi had been very young at the time, but she would never forget that night. She could still hear the poor girl crying out for her father to save her, even as the tribe trussed her up with strong leather straps, her cries becoming streams as they tossed her onto the fire like a scrap of dry wood, her screams slowly fading to ragged coughs and then nothing as the fire consumed her life. Brannick's story swelled to a glorious conclusion, and the crowd erupted into wild cheers. Avi joined in the cheering, but only half-heartedly, her heart still filled with the fearful memories of the girl's death. One of the voices rose above the cheers. "Another one! Another one!" Of course it was Kit. Other voices joined in Kit, calling for another story. Avi added her own voice to the chant. "Another one! Another one!" Brannick raised his hands, and all at once silence gripped the crowd again. "So, you want to hear another story?" A scattering of cries for more was his answer. "All right then," Brannick laughed. "One more. This is an ancient story. It goes back thousands of years to when the world was a very different place. A story about heroism, about betrayal, dreams that never came true, and wishes that should never have been granted." Brannick's eyes danced with the reflected fire. "But most of all, it is a story about magic." A flurry of gasps rose up from the crowd. Avi was among them. She'd never actually heard a story about magic. Even speaking about magic was taboo among the tribe. "No," said the chief firmly. "Magic attracts dragons, and it is not a thing that should be treated so lightly." "But Dad," Avi could hear Kit groaning, "it's just a story." "My word is final," Kit's father said. "Besides, it's getting late, and we have a long journey ahead of us in the morning." Murmurs of agreement floated up from the crowd, and the mass of people began to slowly thin out as everyone languidly returned to their tents, cheated of their last story of the night. Brannick wandered off toward the edge of the camp. Avi stalked after him, but not too quickly so as not to draw notice. Brannick knew about magic. She needed to ask him something about what he knew, but not so close that someone could overhear. "Wow!" Kit fell into step beside Avi. "Wasn't that great?" "Yes," Avi smiled. "Such an amazing story." "I know." Kit was almost jumping up and down with excitement. "I wonder what other stories he knows. I bet I could learn a few of them." Avi and Kit followed Brannick out to the edge of the camp, where he sat down on the grass. "Hey, Mr. Brannick," Kit called as he and Avi caught up with him. The young man turned his head back to look at Avi and Kit. The light of the nearly full moon fell upon his face. He looked like he'd seen a few more winters than Avi, but he was still reasonably handsome. There was a single stripe of gray hair shimmering above his left eye, illuminated clearly in the silvery moonlight, but it didn't detract from his appearance. If anything, it made him seem wise, like an elder before his time. The man's mouth curled into a smile. "Enjoy the show, kids?" "Oh, yeah," Kit stammered. It was just so... Wow!" "It was wonderful," Avi said, much more composed. "I'm glad you enjoyed it," Brannick said warmly. It's Kit, isn't it?" "That's right." Kit managed to calm himself down. "And this is Avi here." "Pleasure to meet you both," Brannick said. "Where do your stories come from?" Kit asked, wasting no time in getting to the point. "Well," Brannick said, motioning for the two of them to sit down beside him, "stories come from all over the place, and I do a lot of traveling from one place to another, and I meet a lot of people along the way. Everyone has a story if you're willing to listen for a while." "How far have you traveled?" Kit asked. "Have you been everywhere?" "Everywhere?" Brannick chuckled. Yeah, everywhere. That sounds about right, kid." I've seen quite a few things. Some pretty amazing things. Like what? Kit asked, and then quickly added in a lower voice, have you ever seen a dragon? Of course, Brannick said, as though it was the most ordinary thing in the world. I've seen all the four peoples. The four peoples? Kit was confused. Brannick's gray eyes twinkled with knowing. Shall I tell you the tale? Oh, yes! Kit could barely sit still with anticipation. Yes, please, Avi said, fighting to contain her own excitement. All right, then, Brannick began. Do you know the four elemental substances? Earth, fire, wind, and water, Kit said, without missing a beat. Everyone knew that sort of thing. Yes, Brannick said, a slightly theatrical lilt creeping into his voice. Earth, fire, wind, and water. All things in the world are made of these four substances. The four peoples are similar in their nature, each race representing one of these four elements. For the earth, the kobold, those that inhabit the deep caves, forests, and other hidden places. They gather into highly structured groups and live by a rigid code of honor. They are strong, steadfast, and enduring, like the earth. For fire, dragons. From the air, they scour the land with their burning breath. They travel in great groups called storms, looking for creatures to eat or things that glitter, which they carry back to their mountain lairs. They are a powerful and dangerous folk, and they consume everything in their path like a raging fire. For the air, harpies, the winged hunters snatching up their prey with talons to carry them off to their eyries. They share the sky with the dragons, mocking the earthbound creatures below while they remain free and unbounded as the air. And finally, for the water, the Naya, those whom some call mermaids, flitting gracefully from the sparkling shallows to the hidden, mysterious depths. They feed on fish and seaweed, simple lives, and free as the bosom of the water itself. Avi and Kit giggled at that last one. There was no such thing as mermaids. Everybody knew that. Oh, and I know what you're thinking, Brannick said. What about us? What about poor, ordinary human beings? We can't soar through the sky like harpies, or spit fire like dragons, or breathe below the water like Naya. Why, we must seem pretty pathetic compared to those creatures. But there is one thing that sets human beings above all other peoples. And you know what that is? Ooh, what is it? Tell me, Kit said. Well, I'll show you. Brannick held out his open palm, and Avi and Kit leaned forward to look. There was nothing. For a moment, the world was still. Then, all of a sudden, a single blue flame burst into being. Avi yelped and quickly pulled away. The blue flame flickered just above Brannick's palm, fed by unseen energies. The flame cast a pale blue light across Brannick's face. Magic, he said. Avi stared at Brannick and the flame dancing in the palm of his hand. He could use magic too. Avi had never met anyone else who could use magic beside that poor girl so many years ago. She had so many questions she wanted to ask. How did he learn to use magic? Could anyone learn it? Was she using her magic in the right way? How strong would she become? Could he teach her? She glanced at Kit. The boy was staring at the unnatural flame in his palm. His face was unreadable. You should probably put that away or something. Brannick chuckled and the flame danced out. Mr. Brannick, Avi began, but paused to look at Kit. The boy might accept Brannick's magic. Foreigners were strange in their ways, and they did things differently. But Avi was of the same tribe. If she wanted to ask questions of Brannick, with Kit standing right beside her, she would need to ask them in such a way as to not reveal her own gift. Yeah, Brannick said. Avi nodded and asked her first question. Does magic attract dragons? Brannick shrugged. Yes and no. If there's enough power, they can usually tell where it's coming from, but it's not as if they're drawn to it exactly. It's not like the scent of blood or anything like that. Avi nodded. I see. It wasn't the most reassuring of answers, but it was still something. Brannick gave her a comfortable clap on the shoulder. Don't worry about it, kid. You won't be strong enough for it to be an issue for a good long while. Avi blinked. What? How old are you, kid? Brannick asked. 16? 17? 16, Avi answered. Oh, yeah, Brannick continued. You got plenty of time before your magic becomes strong enough for dragons to notice. And by that time, of course, you could probably just run them off anyways. Dragons are cowards at heart, you know. Avi's blood turned to ice in her veins. This was exactly what she had hoped to avoid. Her secret was out. I said something wrong, didn't I? Brannick said sheepishly. Avi? Kit was staring at her with eyes wide. You can do magic? Avi's face was burning and tears were gathering in her eyes. How? How had Brannick known? And how could he have revealed it so carelessly? Didn't he have any idea how important it was for Avi to keep her gift a secret? Avi? Kit said. Are you all right? All at once, Avi stood up and took off running. She kept running, even as Kit shouted after her. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Her secret wasn't supposed to be revealed. It just... not at all. And Brannick had just given it away as though it were nothing. How could someone like him be so stupid? Avi reached the edge of the forest and collapsed against a thick tree trunk to catch her breath. Kit wouldn't tell on the rest of the tribe, would he? No, he was smarter than that. Besides, they were good friends. Kit would understand, but what about the rest of the tribe? He might not tell them outright, but what if they found out some other way? Well, Brannick had learned somehow, after knowing her for less than a day. What if the rest of the tribe found out? What if some of them already knew? A shrill cry split the night air, and Avi looked up. It was a sound like she'd never heard before, like the call of a hunting mountain bird, but deeper and harsher. A few moments later, a dark shape swept across the moon. Then another. Then another. 3 more. A dozen forms, all growing nearer with every passing second. Avi slowly backed into the forest, watching the horde of winged nightmares descend from the sky. And that's it.
Nice.
Very nice
Really liked
indeed.
it.
So yeah, we finally have some dragons. I hope you're happy now, Lord Commander.
Of course. What about dragons? Yeah, very interesting, like, story. Where's the echo coming from? Weird. I don't know. Well, that's an interesting, like, I like the storyteller that you're kind of getting to this. It's very interesting to see how he's able to just like really keep these kids' attention very easily. I think that's very, very key element of a storyteller character. And Avi's reaction is absolute chef's kiss.
Oh yes, you got to control your audience. Yeah. He's, well, let's just say he's had quite a bit of practice in that regard. A very, very long bit of practice. I don't know this reference. Dragon Blasters? Was that like a
something
cartoon?
theoretically that Dunn is writing?
Yeah. people are constantly asking, "Are you done yet making those dragon lessons? Are you done yet?" Huh? So.
Speaking of dragons, Count Balerion.
Yay! I really like the intention that you made. Well, the way how you set the mood in your stories. I really liked it. It was really enjoyable to listen to.
Thanks.
Alrighty.
So,
Yeah. It seems
is
about.
someone
That's
gonna go
about-
next?
Alrighty. So, who has like a time crunch? Just out of curiosity, if anybody does.
I got all the time.
Okay.
I can probably do
let's
half an hour more.
Well, you've already read. I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Let's
So.
see. It's now 11 o'clock. 12 o'clock is bedtime. Yeah.
All right. All right. Johan, I think it's your turn, and then I think that would be
Alright.
it.
Should I already tell you what I'm gonna? Yeah, I'm gonna be that. That's maybe smart.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last time I tried to do, when I try to get the story done, was that I'm very slow upon getting towards to the end goal of writing a whole chapter done. And now I have finally succeeded in that. So it's now I now fully completed the chapter of the Temple of Montania, Montodea. So yeah, where the group entered the temple and there was something wrong because they were going towards the light, and now when they followed the light for the last time, the light is vanished into the shadow of their visions. So from that part, I'm going to be now reading it. I hope it's not going to be too much of confusion.
No worries. Sounds like fun. Go for it.
Yeah, all right. All right. Here we go. As the group looks around from the middle of the room.
Johan, you are very, very soft.
Okay. How about now?
You are very.
Yeah,
very
I can't hear a
soft.
thing.
Yeah, it's like your audio's cutting out. Or
How
is
about now?
Try it. You're not. I think your mic might have cut out or something.
no, I can hear it faintly, but it's really soft.
Oh, okay, that's very annoying. And
Yeah.
when we'll speak like this, would it then work? Or what do I do? I can try to
Not really. You just sound like somebody like cut your mic capacity to 10%.
Oh, that's allow me to do what? How about now? Better?
You're at 20%, I'd say. A little bit.
So this would work not. Alright.
So are you like not up to the mic or what's up?
I have no idea what's going on. Normally it would be working quite well, and now it's totally gone. Fuck. It's the same. So, no.
That better?
It's better.
Yeah. I just turned you up all the way to 200%.
And does that work?
You're like 40% now.
That's good. I'm gonna be leaving the studio and then coming back in. Maybe that will fix the bug. Because I think
Alrighty.
it's a bug. So.
Alrighty. Go for it. So how about them Chiefs?
No luck.
Yes, this works, doesn't it?
Alrighty.
There you
Much
go.
better. Quick guess what happened. I connected. I have two USB drives for a mic. One I always forget to disconnect. So yeah, that's why it was so vaguely away, because it was away from my desk. So I hope now this is fixable and working quite well to talk. No problems now. It's all done.
Sounds good to me.
All right, then let's get
There's a
started.
little bit of like roboting there, but it's not awful.
How about now?
Well, it seems like it's just constant, like in a constant feedback loop right now.
Feedback loop. So I should lower it and then. Look right about now, that, and then this. This shouldn't work better then, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah, that sounds better. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gone now.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Alrighty, go for it.
Let's go. Wait, hold on. As the group enters the temple, the torches are. Oh wait, that's not where I need to go. Yeah. As the group looks around from the middle of the room, they realize this room has no entry, but only an exit. The group is so confused and starts looking for an answer on how it's possible there was a blue light in this room with no entries to another corridor. As the group is busy looking for the answer, a strong breeze snuffs out the torches that have been lit, leading the way back to the two corridors where they came from, followed by some loud, heavy footsteps and a weeping voice of a woman. Warden, get your spear and shield ready. I think we have company. Grieger said hastily, while getting himself ready. The two guards readied their weapons and their shield. The weeping stopped, and a blue light appears. In a blink of an eye, a huge bug-like creature with the face of a woman appears near Grieger and strikes. He tries to block it, but the sight-like claws pierce straight through his shield, wounding him. Grieger tries to strike back at it, but as he makes the strike, a blue light appears again, and the creature is gone. What the hell? I haven't seen anything like this. Grieger looked at his shield, then back to himself. He's bleeding blood. Damn it. Okay, plan B. Stay close to each other. This thing can strike from anywhere. Grieger looked at Woden. I think you're right. We need to look for a place where it cannot come and hit us in the back. Woden replied. It's silent again, like the creature was never there. The group readied themselves for the fight. The only three light sources are the light in the middle, and the torches in the hands of Jerry and Sarah. There it is. Oh, wait. There it is again. The blue light. But nothing happens. Like it is waiting for something to happen, Jerry replied, getting more nervous by the minute. The tactic worked, and the creature didn't show up. Okay, we need a plan. About now. How do we deal with this creature, and how do we deal with this creature? Anyone? Any idea would be great, Sarah nervously asked. Well, it looks like the creature can't. Well, it looks like the creature can't reach places where there is light, I think. Also, it would explain why it sniffed out the torches at the place where we just came from, Sarah. Sarah said, while looking towards Jonas. I would say that would be a good guess. It explains why Grigor was attacked, and not one of us, since it wasn't able to reach us. Jonas replied, while looking for something in his in his backpack. A loud, spine-chilling scream is heard, followed by a slowly creeping shadow that swallows all the light it touches. Jerry looks at it. Guys, we need a plan right about now. Right about fucking now. Since our tactic won't work for long, that shadow is slowly filling the room. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Okay, well done. Me will hold it back for you guys. Use that time to figure out a plan to defeat this thing. Already on it, Jonas replied. Sarah looked confused at Jonas. Wait, what? What do you have in mind, Jonas? We don't have any tools to kill this thing. Jonas looked at Sarah, but then focused his vision back to his backpack. Sarah, I need the alcohol in the medical kit. Would you please hand it to me? Jonas said with a serious voice. Sarah nodded. Sarah nodded, and started searching for it. Wait, what? What is your plan, Jonas? I need to know. I don't want our friends to die for nothing, Sarah replied, angry. I'm making a bomb, Sarah. Jonas quickly replied. But you don't have anything explosive with you, Sarah. Sarah replied, confused. Just face it. Just face it. We are all gonna be dead. We don't have any input on this fight. There is nothing in yours or anybody's backpack that would save us from this thing. Our only hope is that our gods, Sarah. Our only hope is our gods, Sarah replied shortly after, tears starting dripping from her eyes, well knowing this might be the end for the group. The tension rises when the two gods bravely fight the creature. It's almost hopeless. It almost seems hopeless to strike it, since it just teleports away into the shadows every single time. The creeping shadow is getting closer towards the rest of the group with every passing minute. Sarah finally finds the alcohol in the medical kit that has been brought along for the travels, and hands it over to Jonas. Thank you, Sarah. Now, the only thing we need is an empty empty glass bottle to complete the bomb, Jonas replied with a relieved face. I think we still have one bottle of ale left in Grigor's backpack, Jerry replied, well knowing that Grigor is a strong drinker by heart. Good. Go get it, but be careful. The creature will try to kill you if you come too close to the fight, Jonas replied. well knowing that if the bottle breaks, the hope of completing the bomb will be gone with it, and so the odds of surviving this creature. Gregor, can you drop the backpack on the ground for me? Jerry shouted. I'm a little bit busy at the moment, Jerry. Gregor became distracted, but luckily he was able to dodge the creature's sight like claws, since they were heavily telegraphed. And as the creature teleports away, again Jerry rushed towards Gregor, removed his backpack, and looked for the bottle of ale. Hurry, Jerry! That thing is gonna come back again really quickly. And we are both now in a very bad spot. I can block his attacks to defend you. Gregor begins to sound winded in his voice. After all, this combat is intense, and the only person to back him up is not in one of the best situations. The shadows slowly start to swallow the light out of the torch that Jerry is holding. I got it! Jerry shouted, but as he shouted, a large shadow started to manifest into the figure, as dark as night, with bug-like appearance, with blue eyes staring into his soul. The creature before him. Only then, Jerry noticed the torch went out, and he started to shout for help, but the sight-like claw slices straight through the helpless Jerry. The rest of the group looks in horror as the companion is dropped to the ground, sliced in half. His hand holding the bottle of ale, but after a short time the hand releases it, and the bottle starts rolling towards Jonas. Sierra and Sarah are both in shock, not comprehending what they just saw. Seeing the body of one they just had a conversation with just got sliced in half. Jerry! No! Warner replied with anger in his voice, then starts to storm towards the creature and attacks it. But just as it teleports once, he tries to make. But just as it teleports once, he tries to make the swing, leaving nothing but a blue fading light behind. Jonas picks up the bottle of ale and opens it, drains it, and pours the alcohol in it. He rips some cloth off his shirt and dips it into the brew, and puts it into the bottle, leaving only a portion of the cloak to be used as a lid. That's it. No one kills a friend like that and gets away with it, you rotten insect! Show yourself, you coward! Warner replied with a tone of anger in his voice and determination. Krieger looked at what just happened and grips his sword. And the grip on his sword became tight. His breath became heavy. His eyes drowned with fury. You will die for this, you hear me? Nothing will remain of you, not even your face! The two guards moved closer to the rest of the group, remaining group, as the shadow almost fills the room. Are you already done making that bomb? Would be lovely, since we're running out of time and light. Jesus, sorry. Are you already done making that bomb? That would be lovely, since we're already running out of time and light. Sarah replied, after recovering from her shock. She also looked at her torch and sees it starts to fade. As the light in the room slowly fades, the bomb is made and lit. Krieger, Warden, you two, try to hold the creature in place and by grabbing it. Jonas replied. Okay, we will do that. We will do. We will do what it takes to take that. Take this thing down. They said both at the same time. As the creature appears near the group again, the two guards grab the creature and held on for dear life. The bomb was thrown and the creature was unable to teleport since it was too busy trying to remove the two guards with their combined grasp. A bright light sets the creature in flame. The two guards release their grasp on the creature, not wanting to be burned alive as well. The creature panics and is unable to teleport. Warden and Grieger take this opportunity to draw their weapons and start swinging at it. With every single hit on the creature, with every single hit on the creature, it starts to bleed. It seems its screams are heard until it finally dies, with Warden's spear piercing through his head and Grieger's sword piercing through his chest. And so the demon of Mantoria has been slain, leaving a malformed body behind on the ground. There you go.
Very interesting. I'm noticing like a D&D vibes here in a very good way. Very interesting.
Yeah, really feels like a dungeon raid.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the party snarking at each other. It's like they're not actually dying.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really wanted to make this like an adventure party. So yeah, I think I succeeded in that. I noticed that I made some spelling still there, so I still need to fix that. But yeah, thank you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
This is something I've been noticing a lot. But when you read, how far ahead do you read as you speak?
I have not practiced this one because I was too busy I was too busy with my things at home. But normally when I practice this to read it ahead, then I know what is going to get there. So like two lines behind before. So yeah, so like 2 lines and then. I already read the 2 lines, so yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, that's the thing. But it's also very hard for me to read or speak properly, so that's also a thing. And,
Yeah, I know the feeling.
All right.
Alrighty. Cross Sailor, do you need to bow out?
Yes, I need to return to my coffin.
Alrighty.
Oh, no.
Alas, I will see you later.
Alrighty.
Have a riot.
Buddy.
Yes.
Yeah, that it is indeed from D&D aspect, but it's not like real D&D. But yeah, it's more like that's the only thing, only way I know how to do conversations right now because I'm not really good with people. So yeah, I'm still trying to learn that.
Nah, that works.
Fair enough.
Alrighty. I believe that our consummate duelist is here.
Nice.
Is just barely got back.
Okay, so you give me the next one?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Last time on Dragon Ball Stupid Title. Okay, we found Voidwalkers Lana and Tap as they found a talking lycanthrope. Tap interrogated it as it was dying and found out that it had seen and told of what they termed lycanthrope progenitors, theorizing that if you take them out, that's the key to finally ending the lycanthrope war once and for all. However, Tap left Lana behind, confident that she would never be able to do anything. He took the lycanthrope somewhere, and Lana went her own way, as far as we know. So, starting back up again. This is after a scene change, by the way.
Cool.
Nice.
The mercenary squeezed at the bridge of his nose, though physiologically such an action would have little effect on a migraine. Is there not a single cooperative entity on the whole damned Infinity Bridge? Well, I should say the same of you Voidwalkers, with all your outlandish, unfathomable, and utterly random requests. If you got your way, you'd have us all you'd have all us entities migrate as far from the ages as possible, just to see if our combined weight might tip the bridge. Don't waste my time, Dr. Ross. This is of an importance so dire your mind could not fathom it. Yet my simple mind is good enough to oversee grafting augmetics to that thing. It is, but I never said your mind was simple. In fact, I can personally vouch for your competency better than most. Your father was a brilliant man, Moby. He knew you would do his legacy proud someday. Yet here you are, bickering with your clientele. The middle-aged doctor took in a calming breath. Voidwalkers always had that rather aggravating effect on him. But of all the ridiculous things he's been asked over the years, this was probably the most unorthodox? No, that didn't quite say it. Unethical? No, not precisely. Stupid! Yes, that seemed much more fitting. Surgically implanting a device along your spinal column that can inject potentially lethal levels of adrenaline into your body, that was one thing. Destroy your own endocrine system if you must. I don't care. But I will put my foot down at... Moby scanned the lobby of the otherwise empty clinic. Business seemed to get slower every day. He supposed that not even mercenaries would want to pay up for the privilege of punching 17% harder than they used to. Despite the absence of spectators and the curtains drawn over the windows of the lobby, he would speak his next words in a low mumble, just in case. You never know who might be listening. I will not be party to the healing and augmenting a lycanthrope. In a swift motion, Moby grabbed the stained beige cloth and pulled it over the exposed head of the lycanthrope lying on the bed of the grav trolley. Even if this did nothing about the stench, it put the thing out of sight. There isn't much time, the Voidwalker pleaded in vain. The lycanthrope is terminally injured and is about to die. Good! Moby shot back with unusual enthusiasm about another living being's impending death. Second chances are for humans. At least that way, I can avoid getting into trouble with the Zongrid. Thank you very much. The Voidwalker gave him a knowing glare, like a disapproving father chiding his son for failing particular task for a second time, as if Moby should have known better. You were remarkably devoted to the whims of those creatures. I don't recall them being as cooperative to your father's plight when he required their assistance. Must you always leverage that blasted Ouroboros incident? Moby replied, his fist landing on a raised counter he stood near. He could feel the wood creak a little under the force of his augmetic hand, sheathed in flesh to hide its appendage's Spartan titanium framework for the bridge. It was as if the algorithm itself knew it was being insulted in a roundabout way. Moby took in a calming breath before continuing. The Zongrid don't care about us. It will require them to put... Give me a sec. The Zongrid don't care to help us. It will require them to put themselves in danger for our sakes. And they're not falling for that one again. On the other hand, they have no such compunctions with punishing us when we do something they disapprove of. And this, Moby gestured to the wounded lycanthrope, its form concealed beneath the stained beige sheet. I tend to think they would disapprove. The Voidwalker allowed a contemplative silence before answering. The Zongrid aren't concerned with their own interests. The Zongrid are concerned with their own interests, most prominently their own racial survival. As well they should. Likewise, we have our own concerns to attend to. With a single whipping tug, the Voidwalker tossed the shroud away, exposing the injured lycanthrope with remarkable brashness, as if he didn't grasp the concept of fear or discretion. or courtesy. With our means is far beyond their judgment, as their means are beyond our judgment. Moby couldn't take his eyes off the wounded creature. He had seen its head before, missing an eye, but otherwise undamaged. Seeing it whole, he couldn't take his eyes off the scars. Minor wounds and scratches coated the creature, but none were more blatant than most of the lower lumbar vertebrae. The creature simply missing. Gone. Not as if removed by a surgeon, but by a butcher. No, not even that. Butchers have better knives than whatever made this clumsy amputation. It was as if teeth made this cut. After all the victims of lycanthrope's attacks Moby had treated, seeing a lycanthrope with a similar injury felt fair. Brutal, but fair. Fortunately for the lycanthrope, and possibly therefore unfortunately for the good doctor, the wound seemed to have done a remarkable job of clotting up. The fact that the creature still lived was a testament to lycanthrope endurance. Even the creature's missing limbs were not as jarring a sight as that vertebral wound. One doesn't get far in the study of augmetics without being intimately associated with dismemberment, after all. One also learns to recognize the difference between deformities and wounds such as this. By a rough estimate, that kind of wound could have killed a fully grown adult nearly instantly. In the back of his mind, Moby couldn't help but pity the creature, as if it was an innocent child. Maybe there was some truth to that notion. Any other lycanthrope would have mauled him and the Voidwalker by now, even if it had to do so with 2 missing limbs. Moby sighed. Curse this physician's empathy. This won't be easy. I'll need to custom engineer brand new augmetics from scratch. Then there's the life support systems, how to integrate them into the lycanthrope physiology, and then there's the Ouroboros algorithm calibration. Moby groaned. He lifted his glasses up and pinched at the bridge of his nose. I hope you realize how much I have my work cut out for me. For posterity's sake, I selected you for this task over other augmeticists, not because of the debt you and your father owe me, but because of your capabilities. The doctor chuckled. He turned his back to the Voidwalker and the lycanthrope. He had much to do in little time, if this creature's condition was any indication. Well, what are you waiting for? Bring it back this way. Time to work another miracle. Scene change. Tap couldn't even feign interest in the reading material littering the clinic lobby. Tap had his own labors to attend to, just as the famed Dr. Moby Ross had his task. The doctor gave an estimate of 2 weeks to finish the task, which would leave Tap with ample time to finally attend to some routine maintenance he had been procrastinating on. There was no rest for the Voidwalker. Quicksilver was a frail rifle, a glutton for maintenance. Tap carefully tampered with its inner workings as he laid the dismantled weapon over a short table in the lobby. He lined up the weapon's various panels in neat rows as he drew more and more of the weapon's components out of the central chassis where they were housed. As he pulled out one particular piece from the weapon, he scrutinized it thoroughly. He held the small, featureless metallic cylinder between his thumb and forefinger, turning it around to look at it from different angles. Its once gleaming silver-like surface had been stained with burns beyond what he would deem normal levels of wear and tear. In fact, the rifle's ammunition was deteriorating at a far greater rate than he had theorized it should. This didn't bode well. The heavy metal core's lubrication was in no need of reapplication, as a lump of alloy slipped from his hands when the bell resting above the door rang emphatically, startling him somewhat. He glanced at the newcomer, but was unable to take his eyes off her. Lana glanced back out the door as it slowly swung closed. Follow the smell of my ass, she muttered, or so Tap thought. It was a rather disjointed statement in isolation that Tap was unable to discern any meaning from. Tap stood up and drew his revolver from under his coat. With both hands on the grip, he leveled the barrel at the stubborn girl who clearly hadn't learned anything from their previous encounter. What are you doing here? In an attempt to display dignity, Lana smugly folded her arms. Hey, screw you! You said I could go wherever I want now that we're done. The revolver only had a chamber that could hold 5 rounds. One had been expended during testing. One had been expended as a cost to gain that stubborn ferryman's favor, and 2 of them would be spoken for someday. There simply weren't any other rounds. The alloy was simply too rare and expensive to refine in meaningful quantities. Not wanting to spend the round on such a petty target, he employed what intimidation tactics he could. To that end, he pulled back the revolver's hammer. We are done, Voidwalker Lana. You are a danger to yourself and everyone even remotely adjacent to you. You are worthless. More worthless than that godforsaken lycanthrope. And here I thought you were just gonna chop its corpse into bits and research the pieces. But you took it to get patched up. She pointed her sword towards the back of the lobby at the double doors that Dr. Ross had taken the lycanthrope through. You think I would not employ you if I could? What's the matter? Do you think it'll be too much of a challenge to give you a few pointers, or are you just too lazy to try? The response he received compelled Tap to lower his weapon and to give actual consideration. Not to the girl's inane, emotional outburst, but to a point so salient that he had doubts that she purposefully intended it. Are you suggesting I teach you? No, I'm suggesting you brush your teeth twice a day, she remarked, her arms folded before her as she did. Of course I'm suggesting that you teach me. Intrigued at the proposition, in spite of the sarcasm it was teeming with, Tap released the hammer and holstered his revolver beneath his jacket. He approached the young Voidwalker. She backed away half a step as he did so, but she didn't back away any further, nor did she turn and run. The look in her eyes that she hadn't displayed since Tap had her at Quicksilver's mercy returned. The look that suggested that she was not like the others. The looks that suggested that she wanted more than to simply die slower. The look that, for a moment, convinced him that he might actually be able to train her as his protege, or at the very least, his backup. It was the hope he thought dashed against the cargo crates aboard the Jerian. It was the hope that he would dare to entertain, out of curiosity, if nothing else. You know how to kill lycanthropes. I saw you decapitate one. What is it you wish me to teach you? Lana looked up at him, but only slightly. Tap was not significantly taller than her. On the ship, you were talking about those monsters like you were going to beat them. Not just kill them, but that actually, honest to God, defeat them. To stop them, like, for good. No more lycanthrope threat sort of deal. Tap grinned as he watched Lana reach ever closer to that epiphany she courted, and had probably been courting for some time. Go on. I want those monsters beaten, too. How do I do that? The same way you defeated those other lycanthropes that assaulted my informant, Tap told Lana cryptically. Lana looked down at her feet, probably dejected that Tap didn't just tell her his secret. It would do her no good if he did. This was something she had to understand without hesitation or wavering. If she was to truly understand, he couldn't give her everything. But he could lead her. What was your means? My means? She asked quizzically. What, you mean my weapon? Tap wondered whether he should correct her explicitly or not, but ultimately decided against it. Yes, I suppose a weapon can be a means. Lana finally cracked a grin, as if she had the answer. She held up her blade, proving that she did not. Yet, my sword. It's called Shield. It's not just any ordinary sword. It is powers. Enough to make even some scrawny little girl like me a match for those lycanthropes. So, your sword's powers are what actually allow you to win. Lana scoffed back at him. Duh! You think somebody my size could fight those huge critters with just some ordinary metal toothpick? They'd rip me in half. And thus came the error. In response to Lana's incorrect answer, Tap held up his hand to Lana's forehead and... Ow! What the hell? Did you just flick me in the forehead? What was that for? Without saying a word, Tap held up his hand to Lana's forehead again, preparing to make a similar motion to his previous one. Lana simply stared at his hand, as if she wondered where he was going with this. Ow! Damn it! Cut that out! Too late. Tap raised his hand again, prepared to repeat this exercise in annoyance until Lana understood his point. This time, as soon as Lana saw his hand raised again, she grabbed him by the wrist and twisted his hand away from her face. What are you, some kind of 20-year-old? Cut the crap and make your point already. Tap allowed himself a grin. I just did. Wait, what? Why did you halt my actions? Because you were going to keep flicking me in the head if I didn't. What the hell was the point of that anyway? Did your sword's magic allow you to stop me? No, I saw you try to flick me in the head again, so I stopped you. Precisely. Tap replied, relieved that Lana did, in fact, grasp the rudimentary concepts that he utilized as the core foundation of his own philosophy of war. He pointed down at Lana's blade. Shield, she called it. Do you recall when you told me that you considered yourself inferior to the lycanthropes? Your sword does not make you superior to them. What makes you superior to them, Tap pointed at Lana's forehead again with his free hand, is this. Defeating the lycanthropes is as simple as overcoming them with your mind. When you fully understand this concept, their deaths cease to be a demonstration of raw, mindless force. Rather, their demise becomes proof of the superiority to them that you innately possess, guaranteeing your victory before the battle had even begun. Lana stared up at Tap until her eyes indicatively widened, recognizing Epiphany at last, but it wouldn't last long. She glanced up at Tap's hand, still pointed at her forehead. I swear, if you flick me in the head one more time, I'll cut your balls off. Lana didn't give Tap a chance to respond with a flick to the forehead that she likely suspected awaited her, in spite of her threat. Rather than standing her ground, she wandered to the other side of the lobby from Tap's ad hoc workstation. Give my words consideration. I implore you, Tap spoke up. Lana stopped in place. Well, yeah. For what it's worth, I can really threaten to cut your balls off if you didn't have any to begin with. She craned her head back. Thanks. I'll think about it. Before Lana had begun speaking, Tap was back to his workstation. Quicksilver was going to need extensive modification and rework to compensate against the deficiencies he had discovered earlier. Perhaps it was nigh time to revise his evaluation of the viability of the Mark III project. Oh, and one more thing. Tap glanced back, seeing Lana glance back at him while waving a hand in front of her face. Just throwing it out there that brushing your teeth twice a day thing, it's not that I don't recommend it. Scene change. The pulley system whirred as it cautiously lowered a massive minigun onto the spinal augmentics of the creature. It slid into place with an ease commensurate to the effort that planning this consumed. The lycanthrope had never done The lycanthrope had even done the honors of christening the weapon, the fast-action, large-caliber, high-impact ordnance, or for short, Falchion. Despite stretching the underlying premise of how acronyms are supposed to work, Tap permitted it. Falchion was no longer his weapon to bestow nomenclature to. The creature could do with the weapon what it willed, within reason. With the weapon lowered in place, Tap fixed it to its foundation with a series of bolts. It proved somewhat difficult to do so in the darkness of the edge of the mausoleum, away from the bustling but adequately illuminated great aegis. Tap had to relocate himself to where the creatures had fled to, leaving him only with minimal tools to finish the augmetic job that the good Dr. Ross had begun. However, Tap hadn't brought the only tool, the most necessary of all, the light source, glowed a flame-like illumination that was enough to see by, but not enough to draw attention. How serendipitous. With a turn of his head to the side, Tap caught a glimpse of the wielder of that light source. He thought he saw her smile back at him. Must have been an illusion brought on by the dim lighting. Voidwalker. Tap, was it? The lycanthrope finally spoke. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I don't think any other Voidwalker on the bridge would have given me this kind of second chance. Especially as I wasn't even all that helpful to you with what I had seen. Not when you already known about the progenitors. Tap felt the reverberations in the creature's skin as it spoke, particularly leaning such a large proportion of his body weight against the creature as he made the last efforts to secure falchion to the creature. Nonsense, Tap answered back. In the absence of your corroboration, I would lack the impetus to investigate such a sighting. Still, my words fail me. You gave me this weapon because your pheromantic talents that allow you to speak through dermal vibration could also be used to form dark matter ammunition from your flesh, resolving the logistical difficulty of wielding a minigun as a primary ranged weapon, in that they deplete ammunition at prodigious rates. Tap corrected the creature preemptively. As a side effect, you may require an increase in your rate of lycanthrope flesh consumption so as not to deplete your own stature. Those deserve every bit of the pain and suffering I plan to bring. As if to punctuate his response, the barrels of the minigun began to spin around, completing only a few rotations before being throttled, demonstrating just enough activity to make his point. Tap gave the creature a nod. Your calibration is progressing admirably, lycanthrope. It rumbled in response, only to stop suddenly, but not before drawing Tap's and Lana's attention. Gesundheit, Lana remarked. No, it's not that anymore, the lycanthrope continued in spite of seeming hesitation. Its head sunk down as its bare augmetic. Its head sunk as it glanced down at its bare augmetic forelimb. It turned the augmetic about to see it from different angles as it came to a visual acceptance of its new appearance. Naturally, Dr. Ross was unable to implement a flesh sheath over the augmetic, as was his typical practice that had made him so renowned. Dr. Ross described it as if the lycanthrope's flesh simply refused to grow around the structure, truly unlike anything he had ever seen before on a human. With a single thrust, the lycanthrope buried its exposed metallic claw into a discarded lycanthrope skeleton littering the ground, and the brittle bones gave way in a series of crackling snaps before the beast's strength. Pulling the claw from the broken frame gave the beast the impetus to emit a low cackle, as deep as the workings of a grinding industrial machinery. Think he likes it? Lana muttered in Tap's general direction. Tap had no opportunity to respond as a pair of red glowing eyes suddenly turned in his and Lana's direction. The creature's asymmetrical features in the dark came courtesy from a small, whirring camera it had in place of an eye. It spun back and forth, as if straining to focus. Unlike the beast's organic eye, this sophisticated augmetic glowed a solid, unblinking crimson, forever devoid of emotion that Tap would have found difficult to read even under the Zeta District's many artificial lighting fixtures. That old life is gone forever, and with it the old name. I am now Carius. Well, good for you, Humpty Dumpty Thrope, Lana responded, giving the lycanthrope a playful slap across its augmetic forelimb. The lycanthrope, self-identified as Carius, grumbled at this rather unwelcome nomenclature. You're just lucky I'm not a humanitarian. Yeah, big talk from such a runt, Lana remarked in a way that Tap sincerely hoped was more jovial in nature than outright antagonistic. As Tap glanced at Lana, dearly hoping the girl hadn't made a grave mistake in enemies, she glanced back at him out the corner of her eye. Especially considering that I've got the best possible weapon to fight critters like you with, Lana continued, concluding her response with a wink. Tap rested a hand on the girl's shoulder, ready to restrain her if the need arose. Enough, Lana. I have an important task for Carius, and the lycanthrope would be best able to execute this task optimally if you remain from immediately dismantling it. If it involves killing those damn... Consider it done, Carius interjected. Please tell me it involves slaughtering those wastes of existence. In a way, Tap began. I will return to the Great Aegis and the Infinity Bridge beyond it. I will find the progenitor once more. When I do, I will destroy it, and I will observe what effect its demise has upon the local lycanthrope populace. Once this task is complete, I request that you meet me back in this same region, just past the Great Aegis. In the meantime, you are going to be my vanguard. Go out into the Maw of Serene. Kill whatever lycanthropes you can. Begin to clear the way for me, but not at the expense of your own safety. When I return, the two of us will press across the Maw and purge this benighted region one step at a time. You mean the three of us? With Lana's declaration, Tap felt into her arm over his shoulder. 3. Tap and Karais both stated simultaneously. Lana stared up at him like she'd made some mistake she didn't understand. What, did I stutter or something? Thought you said I could do whatever I wanted. Well, Humpty Dumpty Thrope's not the only one who owes those lycanthropes an ass-whooping on a bridge-wide scale. I'm coming with you. Tap looked down at the girl, again wearing that expression as if no force in the Infinity Bridge could phase her. It was a look that needed no words, proving more succinct than a language even Zaktu could claim to be. Voidwalker Lana was indeed a wavering fighter, too feeble and undisciplined to rely upon, but Karais had previously insinuated that Tap would never have the most optimal choice of allies. The best of the best had fallen long ago. It was as he told her earlier. It was not the strength of the means that gave him victory. Perhaps the girl would one day learn of an even stronger assurance of victory than the raw Voidwalker ingenuity he told her of before. Before answering Lana, Tap glanced at Karais at the corner of his eye. Well, Lycanthrope, you have your orders. Leave us and proceed to follow them. I will contact you should there be any change. The glimmering titanium half-mast turned away as the beast proceeded to leave. Tap suspected he would need the contingency of the creature's talents. The danger of this gamble would be unprecedented. As soon as the metallic plate disappeared from his view, a series of brisk, slightly uneven footfalls pummeled the bridge. The impacts grew softer and softer as their source literally leapt into the darkness ahead. So, what now? Lana asked suddenly. Tap returned his focus to the girl. My conditions for accepting you as an ally will not be light. You briefly followed my orders enough to move that lycanthrope before it succumbed to its injuries, after which I released you from any obligation. However, should you follow me, I will not ask more of you. I will demand. The orders I give you will be far more difficult to follow, let alone understand. But your understanding is not necessary. Only your compliance. Do you comprehend what it is that I expect of you? Just so long as you promise to win this damn war, Lana remarked. Tap suppressed his inner smirk. This was the second opportunity to accomplish a goal so grand that neither this girl, nor the lycanthrope cyborg, nor any entity or Zongrit that he encountered could fathom their importance. His army was beginning to take shape. With them under his command, he would achieve the only kind of victory that truly mattered. And that's the chapter.
Nice. Very nice.
Nice. Very good introduction to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. Are you beginning to see why I think it sucks? It's because Tap gets things way too easily. He's supposed to have all the charisma of, like, week old milk left out on the counter. And yet it's like he runs into Shrav. He gets on board. He runs into Lana. Lana works with him. He runs into Karais. Karais works with him. He runs into Moby, and Moby works with him. All this seems incredibly contrived to me, and it doesn't seem to work for his character. He's getting things way too easily.
I feel that.
And I don't know how to fix it, because if Tap doesn't get what he needs too easily, then the story about him bringing together a team to fight the lycanthropes fundamentally falls apart and disintegrates. The story doesn't work.
Could you not? Let's see. Could you not like make like flaws into the relationships, like bend some flaws into it?
There kind of are. What I was hoping to try to float past the readers is the idea that Tap basically just threatens people into getting his way.
Which, that's
Oh,
actually
but that
legit.
would.
I think that like is a legitimate reason for things being relatively easy for him, because like it's kind of the conceit of the what is it, the just the Urshan is able to like say, like at least like say, here's some force, like, and exert this amount of force, join me or else, is fairly compelling, I'd say.
But then, what if everyone gangs up against him then?
Oh, you'll see.
Oh, and I like the lycanthrope. I like the lycanthrope.
Yes.
But I
He
can't
was a
talk
bit
in his voice.
inconsistent on his voice acting this time.
Yeah, I can't talk in his voice because it hurts my throat.
It's actually canonically supposed to be like this.
So essentially, he's
But I can't do that
what
for
is he?
very long.
What is he, Dr. Claw?
Yeah, that's the idea.
I will get you for this, Inspector Gadget.
Okay, I believe it is Count Valerian's turn.
Yes, and actually, I can. Let's see. Half a second here. Oh, I'm near my mic now because I'm sitting down. Sorry,
No, you're fine.
No worries.
but I have to sit near my mic. Let's see. Have a second. I need to open the document. Here we are. Okay. To summarize, Margaret and Barama have gone to court. The Emperor wants them to join the Barusa, which is kind of a harem, even though they're underage. They managed to worm their way out of it somehow. Not they. Actually, it's more like their parents and some of the Emperor's advisors. So we're in the aftermath of all that. And their parents' names are Pilamar and Garawada. Pilamar is Margaret's father, and Garawada is Barama's father. So, after Garawada and Pilamar had returned to their lodgings in the old palace and begun preparations for their homeward journey, Prince Umpu'u and Yaji Malaraama held a council with Emperor Ekwekwe in his bedchamber, where he generally felt most at home. Not that he was fussy. He insisted on keeping the meeting brief so he could get back to what he called his toys. To the extent that he was aware of his counselor's distaste for his lifestyle, other people generally ranked fairly low in his list of priorities. If anything, found it amusing. How dare they not give their spawn to me? He half growled, half squealed. I want revenge. I exalted want. We can't very well punish them for not wanting to put their underage daughter, still less their son, in the Barusa, said Umpu'u, with a shrug, or the Sandaranian equivalent, which looks like a nod. They are too powerful, and too many of the nobility on Oro, the island of Oro, would find it an outrage. They're rather prudish out there. And page down. What we, said Ekwekwe. I exalted emperor. I exalted can do anything. He began frothing, as he often did when he felt particularly omnipotent. Yes, said Umpu'u, not quite able to restrain his sarcasm. And then you, Exalted, could find Exalted self with a rebellion on Exalted hands. He fished in his pocket for his waka'a bowl. One had to get through these meetings somehow. Waka'a, or in Turanian waka'a, is a herb used in moderation to relax, or not in moderation to hallucinate. Power is best exercised with wisdom, lest it be lost, said the Yaji in a more conciliatory tone. Great Ones Palamar and Garawada are popular with their people, and with many other nobles on Oro. There may be a better means of obtaining Exalted's desire, for Scripture affords many instances where wisdom obtained what force on its own could not. And what is this wisdom? Asked the Emperor with a bored air. He had never much cared for wisdom. Exalted might give them slaves to honor them for their integrity and devotion to the Emperor and to the welfare of those in their care, suggested Malala-ama. Pilamar and Garawada are of doubtful loyalty, added Mpu'u. Sooner or later, they will give us a pretext to get rid of them. The slaves we give them will be our spies. The Emperor emitted a high-pitched squeak, which passed for a laugh. Brilliant! I get it now. They will die, and the toys will be mine. The Yaji, by a habit of hypocrisy so ingrained that he half believed his own pretense, adopted a grieved air. I would not say it thus. Rather, if the slaves were to see any sign of rebellion or disobedience, which Nyaja grant they will not, and they were to Exalted box, we should have to. Justice must be impartially administered, and even the mighty cannot be allowed with impunity to commit crimes against the state, the custodian of the law. He fiddled awkwardly with his sacred necklace, hoping thus to appear more pious. He didn't, not particularly, but it's the thought that counts. Blessed bores me, old man, grunted Ekwekwe. Not that he was exactly a newly hatched egg either. The toys Barama and Shirumbawaga, that is Margaret, must be mine. This lowly servant dares suggest that it would also be wise to find a loyal subject to, page down, give Lady Shirumbawaga in marriage, continued the Yaji, ignoring this last exalted remark. Better she should marry a loyal subject than one of her father's traitor friends, added Mpu'u. Marriage is surely no bar to membership in the Berusa. Indeed, so far as I know, nothing is these days, including not being human. He took another pinch of waka'a. Scripture, began Malala-ama, when he was rudely interrupted. I exalted am bored of Scripture, said Ekwekwe. I obey Exalted Will's laudable desire that sacred things should not be bandied about lightly, replied the Yaji. Exalted's piety is renowned. Yes, notorious, said Mpu'u with a cough. Get out of here, both of you, said the Emperor. I Exalted am busy. Then he went back to the toys, and Mpu'u and Malala-ama went off to find their own Saranjis. More or less their own anyway. After one of these meetings, one needed to unwind. Counts Pilamar and Garawada were rather surprised the next day to find that Exalted, and waiting for the page down, Exalted Box had given them slaves named Gaga and Baba respectively, each with a golden belt bearing their new master's name. Margaret and Barama thought nothing of it as yet, beyond that they didn't much like having slaves, but their fathers were rather more suspicious, not at first so much because of anything the slaves said or did, as because the Emperor, who never forgave any obstacle to his whims, however slight, was suddenly being magnanimous and even munificent. That's odd, remarked Garawada. Most Sandaranian slaves wear iron belts. Why gold? Such open-handedness is indeed beyond this lowly servant's understanding, mused Pylamar. Page down. Why are they giving us slaves at all? Nor was this the only odd thing about the slaves. The slaves were incredibly unctuous and eager to please, volunteering to help in everything without being told, and even when told not to. Granted, they were almost certainly better treated than before, and almost anyone would be happy to be out of Ekwekwe's clutches. But still, it was all a tad excessive, and the slaves were obliging and servile to the point of being a nuisance. Great One wishes that lowly filth servant buckle Great One's noble slippers? Great One wills that lowly filthy servant clean Great One's resplendent privy? Great One wishes that this lowly scum servant filth dispatch Great One's magnificent correspondence? You needn't call yourself lowly scum servant filth, and no. Even by Sandaranian standards, this was overdoing it. Along with the slaves came 2 letters in red ink and sealed in gold by the Emperor in person, addressed respectively to Pylamar and Margaret and to Garawada and Barama. Not that they were necessarily written by the Emperor, or even dictated by him. To judge from the style, the most likely author was the Yaji Malala Ama, possibly with some input from Prince Mpu'u. But there was no doubt that they represented exalted will. After a mixture of false piety and imperial grandiloquence, the substance of the letters was an invitation to Margaret, and a similar one to Barama, to return to exalted presence and embraces. Exalted is pleased to welcome your fair offspring, the Lady Shirumbawaga, that is Margaret, back to court at such time as may be chosen. Chosen by whom? Wondered Pylamar. Me, Margaret, or the Emperor? Indeed, said Garawada. No such explicit invitation was tendered to the counts. However, the pious but possibly ominous wish was expressed that, quote, Great One's wisdom may prove yet greater than your loyalty, end quote. Is that a threat? Mused Garawada aloud, when he and Pylamar were alone, taking a break from packing the drink of plum wine. Possibly, said Pylamar, finishing his cup. Let's take the hint and go. I think Yaji Malala Ama would say that this wisdom is wise, and he would doubtless have an apposite scriptural quotation, observed Garawada. Sauron took the hint too, after all, agreed Pylamar. So they finished packing and returned to the glorious Emperor, making sure to send to the real Emperor as fulsome a protestation of their devotion as was compatible with their honor. The task of preparing for their departure was made the quicker by the diligent, possibly a bit too diligent, assistance of Baba and Gaga, although the counts politely declined their offer to pack correspondence and documents, preferring to see to it themselves. When the party had finally boarded ship, Margaret and Barama breathed a sigh of relief, supposing, as they naively did, that it was all over. Their fathers knew better. We are henceforth in grave danger, Pylamar told Margaret. Be wise and be vigilant. But Cousin Barama and I shan't have to be in the Barusa? Not yet, at any rate. But I do not know how long I can protect you. Are we going home? Yes. We must go a different way, however, for that is how New Sharaj has chosen to direct the currents. We shall first have to go south, then west, and then north to Thalamon, where we'll part company with Count Garawada and with Barama. New Sharaj is an attendant upon the river Angara and is responsible for wind, storms, ocean currents, and light. Are we going to Mindar? Can we visit Palismu, the home of my mother? We shan't have time to visit Palismu, but we shall stop briefly at the port of Dian in Mindar. First, we must pass the Sandaranian ports of Delawapa and Eronge in the province of Sumbima. I wish we could be in Mindar right away. Alas, that is not possible. The voyage is too long. I don't like ships. Unfortunately, we cannot fly. Although most often do things he does not like. Yes, father. Okay. I think that will do for now.
Alrighty. Very,
Nice.
very interesting, I have to say.
Good. I'm still.
I definitely get Aegon the Fourth vibes from this exalted creep.
Yeah, I think you might give Aegon the. I think you might actually beat Aegon the Fourth in terms of being revolting.
Yeah. Since I just get this idea of this giant fat dude who just wants to bone everything and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, basically he's kind of fat and yeah. That's it's the marvelous thing, the wonderful thing. I mean, the amazing thing, given his lifestyle, is that he's still alive. I mean, he must be about 50 or so. How did he survive all this time with this lifestyle? But I'm just going to hand wave all that.
Oh, I think I have an answer for that one, and that one.
Let's see. Oh, sorry if you heard some weird noise just now. Yes, what's your idea?
Sheer willpower.
Sheer willpower and determination.
The collective will of everyone in this room.
Let's go with that.
He's just obstinate.
Yep.
He's just obstinate.
Sometimes there are a bunch of dicks who do that.
Yep.
He might be doing it to spite his son Mpu'u, who's the eldest son and not exactly appointed heir, but likely heir. Maybe he's just trying to spite. He has a number of descendants and relatives, and maybe he's trying to spite them by living all this time. I wouldn't put it past him.
Not a bad plan.
Oh, definitely.
From his point of view, anyway.
Okay, so, alrighty. I may regret this, but I have a few options for what I can do for the thing. So, I have Dragon Blaster, a section. I just have to find something relatively not bad. And then I also have a couple of moments from either I think a duel from the beginning of Queen of the Ashes, which is one of my favorite duels that I've created. Those are my options. What do you guys think?
Dragon Blaster. Dragon Blaster.
I think, you know, if push come to shove, I think I will go for Dragon Blaster as well.
Okay. Alrighty. Let me find it.
Have a blast.
Alrighty.
Get it?
Yeah, indeed.
It will blow your
Droll.
socks off.
Blow may be correct in this case, quite literally.
Oh.
Or in the figurative sense. That's such a weird way of putting things. But yeah.
I have, by the way, no idea what Dragon Blaster means, so.
Okay, so Dragon Blaster is basically the idea that I came up with when I was a teenager and watching Aaron Stone religiously.
Oh.
Basically, a bunch of kids develop the ability to turn into dragons, and they build power armor.
That's actually quite cool.
Yeah. Now I just need to find the best part of it, since the book itself is like not very long. It's basically just a like one kid doing what he thought was funny. Let me see. I think one of the better parts, let me see. Should be okay, so this also might show my relative lack of experience playing video games as well. Ba-dum-bum-bum. I think I definitely need to make this more satirical. Otherwise, this will just be lame.
Well, at least there is not going to be like dude-tastic appearances about puns about dudes and other dudes.
Dude, I know. Dude.
It sounds like you caught that chaotic stream.
Yeah.
No, dude, that's just in your imagination, dude.
It's just your opinion that we watched that kind of bad show.
That's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, I just I only cloaked him briefly, and then my sister came.
You just need to go with the flow, man. And then eventually you will win.
Yeah.
I gather this is what most of the dialogue in the show is like.
I love that fat guy. He was such a weeb.
Yeah, he's so weird. Peyton's weird. Let me find it. Let me find something that's not like terrible. Yeah. Okay. Let me. I think. Okay. Okay. So this kind of. Maybe let's. I guess I'll do this. So this is kind of my reverse psychology, doing the kind of dickish Lemony Snicket type thing. If you've ever read a series of unfortunate events, where essentially, basically what I'm doing is, like telling people not to read the book, which makes them want to read the book out of spite. So essentially, it's just. So to set up, basically what is happening with this game is it is making people look different than they originally did by just altering their appearance to look like the avatars they created in the video game. And
So their consciousness will also change, or
no, it's their actual physical appearance changes.
I see.
So, disappearing chops, changing appearances, new abilities, whatever will happen next. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave the story of Fred Willard for the time being and turn to Kevin Howard. Kevin Howard lives in Las Vegas, Nevada. He is the captain of his football team, has a girlfriend most guys would sell their souls for, and good looks in abundance. He has been playing the game that has been of such significance to this particular plot for some time, but his appearance has not changed. His girlfriend Jessie has also been playing the game, but her appearance has not changed. The next chapter will be on him. If you get scared, you may skip reading this book and turn to something with fluffy bunnies and dandelions. If not, read on. Kevin contemplated the level of Dragon Blast when his cell phone rang. He only waited in the time it took to pause before answering. "Hey, Jesse." "Hey, Kev," said the I've been wanting to call for a while. You're doing that right now," he said. "I think we could keep playing that game you got." He said, "I've heard a lot about it and I want to play it with you." Kevin thought for a moment. His girlfriend had spent the new game in when he had bought it. Sure, she didn't. It have an interesting gaming. That was how she had met him, and it had paid off to arrange a meeting. "Sure, come on, he said. "Come on right over." "Cool," she said. "See you when I get here." Took a few minutes for her to get there, and once she did, they got right down to the game. First, he thought he was good, but she took to the game like a fish out of water. The look of her avatar, Whirlwind, contrasted pale skin, dark black hair, symboled of her avatar, completely opposed to her real life look. In real life, she had long black hair and all his skin. His avatar was just called Kevin. Red hair, heavy muscles, super strength. They were on level 7, the HQ of the Strange Order. The objective was to gain secret information. "You see that?" He pointed to a power-up. "That's a booby trap. Don't go near it." She nodded and then pressed the buttons on her controller in quick succession. Her Dream Dragon touched several lines and retrieved the battle gear pickup. His character's form was immediately covered in a set of battle armor. His eyesight fuzzed briefly. He rubbed his eyes. Then suddenly a lurch made him almost sick. Suddenly he was looking out of his avatar's eyes. Jesse's avatar was looking at him in shock. "What the hell?" he said, the deep mechanical voice. Ice cut him off. "You have made a mistake, foolish dragonlings." The owner's voice stepped out of the showers. It was a white robot with a power core in his chest, a blade on his left forearm. "What happened?" Jesse asked, turning on the robot. It gave a harsh laugh. "You have intruded where you should not," it remarked, its arm sword glowing. "I will enjoy exterminating you." A stream of lightning shot from her mouth, expanding as it went into 3 circles. The robot raised its right hand and blocked the stream. "Can you hit it?" Jesse asked, not taking her eyes off the robot. Kevin attacked with his fire breath, aiming at the robot's face. The robot's rocket legs ignited and it shot upward. Rope-like tentacles came out of its chest and went straight for Jesse. Kevin felt his power heat up even more than it already was. He opened his hand and particles of something spun around his hand. "Battle gear, engage," he said instinctively. Then the gear shot from the air and landed on his back, and transforming into a set of Hydra heads expanding from his back. The multiple Hydra heads opened their mouths and laser beams struck the robot in the chest. Jessie opened her hand and her battle gear formed. Only for her, it was 4 turbines arranged in an X attached to a frame affixed to her back. The gear's top turbines opened, laser streams attacked the robot. 4 slots slid out of all 4 turbines, and more lasers attacked the robot. But it raised its right arm and a force field formed around it. "You cannot defeat me with these toys of yours." Something came out of the corner. A large blue dragon with a breastplate and helmet-like crest, spiky wings and smooth armory scales. It roared and water particles swirled into a high-powered stream. The stream hit the robot and ended hurtling backward. "Name's Aqua," she said. The voice was obviously feminine, but right then Kevin did not care who it was so long as it got him out of this weird game. Aqua opened her mouth again to unleash a is a jet of blue energy. He hit the robot. The right arm glowed and the force field formed again. We need to work together, Kevin shouted. Jessie nodded and Aqua summoned her own battle gear, a set of claws attached to her hands with 2 turbines on her shoulders. The robot attacked, long arms slashing for Aqua with devastating force. Kevin and the girls activated their battle gear and attacked simultaneously. All 3 were aimed at the robot's chest. The power core exploded, nearly taking out its assailant. What was that? Kevin asked. It was a mech lord. Or Aqua explained. I've seen 2 so far. According to a cheat code I got in this level, there are 2 types, and they can absorb players. What do you mean, absorb players? Here's Jessie asked. If they get caught by those tentacles, they rip off. Aqua explained, with half their life point at their hit points. Ow. Jessie remarked. I'm gonna sign off, Kevin said hesitantly. I think I will as well. Jessie sounded eager to get out of this place. Aqua made an odd shrugging motion. Suit yourselves. Kevin blinked and looked around. Jessie was sitting next to him, looking shocked. He stared back at her. She had just turned into her avatar. Shark dark hair, pale complexion, slim build. Not wanting to look, he glanced over the mirror. His tall, red-haired, muscular avatar stared with an expression appropriate for being clubbed on the head. Ah! His yell and her scream were simultaneous. And that's the end of that section.
That's actually quite a logical reaction, actually.
Kinda, yeah.
It's
essentially. Yeah. Yeah, that, but yeah, that is Dragon Blaster. That is Dragon Blaster.
Blasting.
Yeah. Yep. There's more. I need to very much refine this. This is really, really rough. But at some point, I'll figure it out.
Nice.
But yeah, that's Dragon Blaster. Hopefully that sates people for when I eventually publish it. I think I might do that as like the finale of next year, but I need to do a lot of editing, try to make it more deliberately satirical, more than it already is. Kind of before it was, this is unintentionally satirical.
How about a brainstorming stream devoted to it if you haven't done that already?
Okay, sure. I'd be okay with that.
Oh, so you're done already.
Yeah, I don't. There's not really much to this. I just thought I'd just do one and then just call it good since it's almost 2 hours.
It's a good start, actually. I like it.
Well, it's not even a start. I picked something in the middle that would be kind of engaging. Basically, the story is 5 teenagers basically pick up this weird video game that they can't understand what is going on, but they start playing it and weird things start happening. And I need to kind of fix a lot of the problems in it. I think I know how to fix a few of them. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And it's it's a very strange, I need to kind of deliberately make it. I think I have a few ideas. Maybe we'll kind of figure something out. Maybe like sometime in a couple of weeks, since we've got a couple of streams planned for this week. We just need to do them. Anyway.
So you're going to turn it into a parody?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, basically just do a parody of like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff. I think that would be like actually fun. But I need to.
That would be entertaining, but not what they used to be. I'll tell you that.
No.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah, admittedly, I would much rather watch Chaotic than She-Ra or Steven Universe.
Oh dear God.
Dan, I have seen She-Ra, and trust me, I think Chaotic is way better than that. I have seen the ending, and I was like, Okay, I wasted my whole time. I wasted all my free time watching this. God damn it! I just wanted to
what
see
happened
it
to kid shows? I felt that way during Korra,
Yeah.
What
which
happened?
I call patient zero of all this stupid idiocy.
She-Ra
Yeah.
is worse than Korra in most cases.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
it
like,
gets worse from patient
way
zero. Patient zero is just the first instance.
Well,
In my
that
day,
will
we
be
had Scooby Dooby Doo. Sorry, where are you?
Scooby-Doo. We got some work to do now.
To be fair, in everybody's day, they had Scooby Doo because they keep rebooting it.
Yeah, it's pretty much the
Yeah, but
franchise that
apparently
is
they've done horrible things.
unkillable.
They've
It's
done horrible things to it since my day, though. They were already starting to mess it up in my day. They changed the theme song.
like
Back
what's
in
new
'71, they changed the
Scooby-Doo?
themes.
What do you
That
think
was
of
just
what's
revolting.
new Scooby-Doo is pretty bad.
I think
Yeah.
Be Cool Scooby Doo is also very terrible at its art style, if I'm correct.
Yeah, in 1971, they changed the theme song and they changed the format, and that was already thought.
I do like their jokes. The jokes are good, but the art style is horrible. I don't like it. I wish they had kept the original one.
Yeah, they
From the Adventures, if I'm correct. That one. That was good.
They annihilated civilization, basically.
Indeed.
But yeah, if anybody wants to ever talk about She-Ra, I have seen the whole series. Surprise. I did it because I wanted to babysit, and I was bored, like, oh, well, this is a new series. And I just kind of, rolled with it until I figured out, like, oh, God, this is happening. And I just wanted
Well,
to
my
see
first question was why, and I suspected the answer was because you didn't have anything better to do. It seems I was right.
Yeah, exactly. I have already watched Dragon Age before that, so, of Dragon Prince, I mean. Ugh.
Well,
and
alrighty. We will.
it's already
We'll have our Saturday morning cartoons. It is Saturday morning cartoons at another time. But thank you all for coming, and we'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, everybody.
Have a riot.
Holy shit. Okay, we're going. Go!